I'm Richard Serrett. Welcome to The Conspiracy Show. The Water Engine is a play by David Mamet about a young amateur inventor who designs an engine that runs on, well, water. But his plan to patent this disruptive alternative energy technology is met with violent suppression. Mamet's play, set in 1934 New York, was a work of fiction. Or was it? There have been numerous attempts by real-life inventors to create a water-fueled car, a device that can produce fuel from water with no other energy input. The ability to extract the chemical potential energy directly from water, in excess or in equal proportion to the energy required to facilitate such production, is, mainstream science says, a violation of the first and second laws of thermodynamics. But one inventor in particular, Stanley Meyer, claimed that is exactly what he did. And it is suspected among the conspiratorial-minded that Stanley Meyer, just like the inventor in David Mamet's play, The Water Engine, met with violent opposition to his disruptive alternative energy technology. We're about to meet several inventors, including an electrical engineer, who conclude, based on the evidence, that Stanley Meyer was likely murdered by agents working for Big Oil to prevent his water engine from becoming commercially available. They also believe it's possible that Meyer's technology worked just as he described and demonstrated in a number of videos. While these inventors admit no one has been able to duplicate Meyer's achievement since his death, they do insist numerous kits are available which will allow consumers to supplement their gasoline fuel with a chemical energy extracted from water, thus improving their car's fuel mileage. And they're going to show you how you can do it. Of course, we try to provide some balance on The Conspiracy Show. So, as per usual, we'll hear from a skeptic. A pretty open-minded skeptic, I must say. Perhaps predictably, he'll try and refute the late Stanley Meyer's claims, insisting that the notion of running an internal combustion engine on pure water flies in the face of the laws of physics. As for the claim that it is at least possible to supplement gasoline with an energy extracted from a water molecule, well, his views on that may surprise you. Me? I just want the truth, and I'll drive to hell and back to find it. It is time to redefine reality. Genetic enigma or a human alien hybrid? That's how cynical I am now about the process. Mainstream media, they've thrown in the towel. Weather patterns created by the corporation has been engineered by the Illuminati.
Just think, water. Everybody has water. Imagine running your engine on water. Water is free. And can it be done? Absolutely was done. Stanley Meyer, he absolutely did it. And he actually created a patent on it. It's incredible of his details, but it's so simple, but yet it worked.
He's running this car on water. He said, I'm gonna go to New York and on 20 gallons of water and come back. And I go, oh wow. I go, here we are ready to go to war. And he goes, ditch the oil, the war for oil. I go, let's just run the car on water. That solved everything. A lot of people went and saw it, and if they didn't like the people, they wouldn't run it. But they liked this one friend that went there, and so they go, oh, you're cool, and, you're representing the people that are gonna buy it, you guys have money, and so they ran the engine for him, and they had it locked in a building, two-story building, so you couldn't get into it, couldn't steal it. They just ran it around this room upstairs, I don't know, around in circles, and that's kind of funny.
You have 2 parts oxygen, 1 part hydrogen. So if you could control and split the oxygen from the hydrogen, and then basically smack it, do the voltage and the current in his supporting circuits, that now you have a high output of hydrogen, say it's the combustion at that point, but now yields 1,800 times the power, and now you deliver that much more power to your load, and off you go. So you're taking water, separating water by some electronic ingenious ways of doing it, that he did here in his patent, and you got an engine that's running on water. So
the wave is square. So what you want off, on, has to be this off-on shock. So you spin the molecule in a parallel spin state. So regular, all the cells are proton, neutron are spinning like this on our bodies and everything, but we're putting it in a peridot state.
You know, like a regular conventional car, you have, you know, your pollutant and carbon monoxide. Here is basically just no carbon monoxide. It's fantastic for the environment. Without using traditional fossil fuels, man, you want to go out and get this vehicle yourself? And just think of the cost. There's no cost in water. It's a natural part of the earth. I mean, water is all over. It's abundant.
The implication is that the Holy Spirit told him what to do in response to his prayers. Well, I can't judge that aspect, but unless there is some amazing source of cosmic energy, this is impossible. Stanley Myers. I listened to his presentation at the conference in 1992, and I would say it is indeed outlandish. The fact is that our common knowledge of the first law of thermodynamics is absolutely violated. Well, the first law of thermodynamics basically says in a simple form that the amount of energy going into a system cannot be smaller than the amount of energy going out, but it will go out as effective energy that we wish, mechanical energy, heat, whatever, or losses occur, which typically end up as thermal energy. But basically that you cannot put in a little bit and get out a lot. That is impossible according to first law of thermodynamics.
At first they say, nah, this can't happen. It doesn't work. There's no way this thing could work. And he goes, well, yeah, it does work. I'll give you a demo of my dune buggy. I have some modifications, but you know, there's no tricks here. And I'll show you guys. Come down and take a look at it. Well, if you don't want to take a look at it, I'm sure other people might be interested, especially the general public, and maybe the government might look into it too. So, you know, I invite everybody to come and let's have a discussion. So of course, you know, a company like an oil company is going to absolutely try to deny, saying it's not ever going to work.
The only argument you could have possibly is if some unknown new form of energy is utilized, and the implication is that the Holy Spirit told him what to do in response to his prayers. Well, I can't judge that aspect, but unless there is some amazing source of cosmic energy, this is impossible.
He says it comes from the black hole. I don't know where it comes from. Longitudinal energy. You know, I don't understand it totally, but I have a feeling, you know, science will just cut you off. They just say, no, he can't, it's impossible. You can't run that IC engine.
Indeed, there has been here at the University of Toronto and in many places research done on what was called at one point the hydrogen economy, so that we don't pollute, we use hydrogen as a fuel, we get water as a product, and therefore there is no pollution. I mean, it all sounds very nice, but hydrogen has very severe problems. It is explosive, it has to be contained, and containing it means a very low temperature and an extremely high pressure, or you can't contain it. And of course, if your vessel explodes, you have trouble. Also, hydrogen has this unpleasant ability to find its way through metals. So if you have a steel container and you leave it with hydrogen for some time, the hydrogen molecules slowly diffuse through the metal. They are so small that they can get through. So it's really very, very tough to do it, and I think all those efforts, while they went on for a long time, have been only modestly successful.
Well, it's not purely 100% hydrogen. You know, it's kind of like it's not in its purest state. It's kind of, you could say, in a filtered state. So it's more of a diluted form instead of total hydrogen. So, you know, you have like H3, you know, you have another isotope, let's say, and then another isotope into the pure H2 hydrogen state. You basically now have not as volatile type of gas as a pure byproduct of hydrogen. So that by playing with the amount of generation of his frequency with his pulse width there, the actual output now, hydrogen, it's not pure hydrogen gas at that point. This is kind of like a scaled down version. And that's more of the secret of his research, was to basically have a high output, but not basically have a one form of, dangerous gas, let's say.
It's the safest gas on the planet because there's no flames to it. As soon as it hits the air, it's over with, explosion's over with. So as with gasoline, you got a vapor still going and it's still engulfing the air and burning, and and your spawn, it's like it blows up. So it's really the safest gas on the planet, the cleanest gas on the planet. It reverts back to water.
Stanley takes his sip, and within not even a minute, he basically starts to shake, stands up, tries to run out the exit of the restaurant. And Stan goes, I don't know what's going on, but I think I was poisoned. So now, all of a sudden, all these, ExxonMobil people and so on, wait a minute, all our huge profits, you're taking our gas away and you're replacing it with water? No, we can't have that. What are you going to do with all our supporting stockholders? What are you going to do with all the people that are investors, What are you going to do with all the people that are basically your employees? You can't stop us. You have something totally different. Simple thing is water? And you're going to put us out of business? Something's wrong here. That can't be.
They'll put the FBI, the NSA, the CIA after you, because they don't want this cat out of the bag, because they won't make any money. The bankers won't make money anymore, so this is like terror to them, water.
Yes, I think it stands to reason that it is possible that Stanley Meyer was onto something real, and he was running his car on mainly hydrogen. But I think what happened was that his patents could not be replicated because he left out some important parts. So the patent was used to publish enough to protect his technology, but not to give it out. You can't just implement it out of what he did. I haven't found enough information in what Stanley Meyer left to replicate his technology. So what I did is I just took everything that I could find and gave it to others and say, hey, I give you a system where you can see that there's something to it, and you can place some of your gasoline with hydrogen. Now here's Stanley Meyer's documents and patents. If you can do something with it, please do. I just giving it for free, but I couldn't replicate it myself, and none of my friends could either.
Now, between me and you and a lamppost, the reason why I'm not seeing tons of this stuff out there, if they see what happened to Stanley, they might be, you know what? I don't want to walk in the same shoes because it might happen to me too.
Well, the oil companies do them. They hire like the mafia to do it. They don't do the dirty work. They hire a guy to hire a guy. That's what I've read. And it makes sense, They hire a guy to hire a guy, and you just take thugs, and you give them the money, people do anything,
He was in contact with some guys from Belgium representing some energy enterprise. They wanted to buy his patents and his technology. As I gathered, he actually refused. I think it was $250 million or something. And once he refused and he was announcing that he was going to do it himself, then he was eliminated by poisoning or something like that.
So imagine you have a group of professional people at a luncheon, and all of a sudden they start off with a toast. And what's interesting about the toast, it's cranberry juice. So let's have a toast with cranberry juice. Stanley takes his sip, and within not even a minute, he basically starts to shake, stands up, tries to run out the exit of the restaurant. His brother is frantic, runs after him. He goes, what's going on, Stan? What's going on? And Stan goes, I don't know what's going on, but I think I was poisoned. And a couple of minutes later, he's dead. Right there.
I think that Stanley Meyer was hit because he was not willing to give the information of how he runs a car totally on hydrogen. And I think the guys that were offering to buy it from him wanted to just kill it, forbid him from doing it, and then they would just put it in the deepest drawer that they can find. That's what I think they would have done with that, not give it to mankind or anything.
What I think is he was murdered, because wouldn't you want to stop somebody if they're gonna put me out of billions of dollars worth of business?
That adding small amount of water or oxygen or hydrogen to a gasoline tank or into the carburetor can indeed help.
Water for Gas, I see it as a movement, not as a company, because I teach people how to turn water into some usable form of energy. And I put it into use in my own car.
How does this water fuel technology work? What's the science behind it?
I took a mason jar, just a kitchen jar, and I put some electrodes in there, which means just metal wires running down and a little bit of baking soda to make the water conduct electricity. So far, it's very, very basic science. It's high school science. Now, when you put 12 volts into the water, it starts doing something called electrolysis, splits the water into hydrogen and oxygen. Now, you take that hydrogen and you throw it into the engine, any engine. It could be a lawnmower, it could be a big truck, anything in between. You throw it, it's like throwing a match. And it makes the fuel there burn better than what the car engineers have done. That's all it is. It's just you're making it better by this little addition. The hydrogen makes the fuel burn better. And that's how we increase the mileage. We don't increase the mileage from 100%. We just take the 20, the miserable 20 that we get from these shiny cars, and we improve it a little bit.
You'll have a little bubbler tank. After that, this goes into the air filter box. It dries the gas. It took a while, but I get 24 miles a gallon now. And I can use a cheaper gas, because this is adding 130 octane. It cleans your engine cleans up, it'll run cooler, the oil changes are less, your spark plugs are clean. It cleans your whole engine out. Everybody just goes, man, you take the spark plugs out and they're like brand new.
You call it water fuel, but it's not a liquid. It's really a gas. So what is this gas made up of?
The gas that we're producing is a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. You get some kind of a gas that has 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen, so we got HHO. It's not water. It's not vapor. It's not like you vaporize it. It's a fourth state. And it will revert to water after it burns, which is the nice thing.
And I believe that thinking of the combustion reactions, which involve carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, in various versions, you can have many paths how a reaction occurs. And therefore, if you can inject into your gasoline some hydrogen, at the high temperatures of combustion, that hydrogen can break down and water can break down, giving you activated ions or molecules or atoms, and these will indeed influence the reaction path so that the reacting efficiency can be indeed higher. So I'm prepared to believe that adding small amount of water or oxygen and hydrogen to a gasoline tank or into the carburetor can indeed help. How much? I don't know, but I think 10, 20, 30% is not out of question at all.
I understand you have some free downloads for our viewers available on your website. Tell me about those.
I want to give a gift to the listeners and watchers of this show, and I prepared a special download of all the information. You just go there, all the information is there, how to download it, what to do with it, for creating a hydroxy system.
The death of inventor Stanley Meyer is suspicious, to say the least. Unfortunately, the hard evidence to prove he was murdered simply doesn't exist. Now, that doesn't mean he wasn't murdered. It just means we can't prove it. We do, however, have Meyer's patents. They're available online for anyone to see. And And hopefully, one day, someone may be able to duplicate Meyer's device, assuming they haven't been frightened off by his untimely and suspicious death. I believe that it's quite possible Meyer's device was not in violation of known laws of physics, but rather he was simply tapping into a previously unrecognized source of power. Imagine running an automobile on distilled water. No more gasoline, no more wars over oil. Do you think a big oil would stand for it? In the meantime, we have commercially available kits like the ones at Water for Gas that you can have installed in your car right now. A type of hydrogen molecule is extracted from the water and fed into your car's intake valve as you drive. Based on anecdotal evidence, this hydroxy gas, as it is called, is improving their gas mileage by as much as 50%. It's also supposedly making the car engine run smoother and produce less noxious emissions. You'd have to purchase a kit, have it installed, and make that determination on your own. If you do, I'd love to hear from you and find out if it works. It's not free energy, but it's one small step in the right direction. You can contact me through my website, theconspiracyshow.com. In the meantime, don't be afraid.
Thank you.